So in today's video we're going to show you how to install a pump on this Brute 4000 psi by Briggs Stratton. The Brute, a line of product like this, is made by Briggs Stratton themselves, their engines, and then they're using some of the name brand pumps like AR. That's one of the more famous pumps on this. So this being a 4000 psi pump with up to 4 gallons per minute. It's one of the more commercial, I would call it a prosumer level pump, and it's a 13 horse Briggs & Stratton. It's the Briggs & Stratton the commercial 2100 series, which are actually pretty nice engines, but if you look closely at it, it's a Honda clone. What the deal is on these is I did 2 of these where the pumps, both of the pumps are leaking, and the sleeves where the pistons go back and forth are scored, and the plastic coating is all worn off. So after I priced out rebuilding the existing pumps, the AR pumps, I decided that after doing the fuel system on this guy, the fuel tank was so pitted with rust, and the carburetor bowl was half rusted through from sitting with ethanol gas in it. I replaced the tank. This is a tank takeoff. So I replaced the tank on this one. On the other one I cleaned it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what happens to the one I just cleaned instead of replacing it, and we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll end up doing that too. So I already installed an hour meter on these. I can put a link in the description if you need one of these. These are super simple to install. There's just a single wire. So you basically find a place on your machinery to mount these, and there's a single wire you bring over here, and then you just use electrical tape and tape 5 rounds of its wire around the spark plug wire, and then boom, you have an hour meter. So what I'm going to show you today is we're going to install a pump on here that's basically a knockoff, what you'd call a knockoff or an aftermarket pump in the same 4000 psi range and 4 gallons per minute. And it does look very much like the original pump. So I'm going to show you how we do that. I got the shaft all clean here. I'm going to throw in some anti-seize, and we'll get the pump out of the box here and we'll get it mounted. So if you have a similar situation where your pump is bad and you got leaks and it's corroded, and so on this pump, on the other one I did, or on this one, I'm not sure now, but the thermal relief valve was already popped. So all these pumps, they have like a thermal relief valve on them that was popped, and it was leaking. It was more money than this knockoff pump I'm going to install here. So what you got is inside is this manual to show you how to install it. The documentation is actually pretty nicely done. It does come very nicely packaged, so that nothing happens during shipping. I like that. They did a good job. And then this here is your hardware goodies. So I'll show you on the pump that you have to put on some of these items here once you get the pump installed. See, the pump comes full of air, or full of oil. There's your soap injector. Your soap injector pot hose and screen filter. So what I do with this, I will just roll it up here and we'll hang it on the handle until the day comes when we need it. So we got that. I'll put that aside. So in this hardware bag, you have a oil vent. So the pump comes shipped from the factory full of oil, the proper amount of oil, and it does come with a quick connect fitting, like your typical power washer connector up here. This is your outlet, water outlet. And then down here, they already have a screen in here. This here is not garden hose thread. This is pipe thread. So if you want a different style connector on that, you'll have to put one in. And I can put a link in the description for that as well. The typical, so this is what's called a 3/8 quick coupler. 3/8 is typically what you see in a pressure washer. So what you want down here is you want a you want a garden hose female down here. So you want from 3/4 inch, this is 3/4 inch pipe thread. So you want male 3/4 inch pipe thread going to a female swivel garden hose end. And I'll put a link in the description for that fitting as well. And then we're just going to get this out of the box. I think there's nothing left in the box except packaging, and we'll put that aside. Actually, very nicely done. If you look at that, it looks very similar to the AR pump that I took off. So this is a plug that we're going to undo, and we'll put in the vented cap instead. And then we're going to put on a proper fitting here to connect it to a garden hose. And there's really not much more to do when you install these. I mean, it's done. It's completely assembled. So in here, they have the bolts for mounting it, but I don't think they were the proper size for my pump. My pump actually has much bigger bolts. So I'm going to be reusing my pumps that I took off when I took the old pump off for this particular engine. So now, if you get this, and these are the wrong bolts for your engine, you might have to go to the hardware store and get new ones, or you can reuse your existing ones. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be reusing my existing ones. So if in your situation, if your shaft is a 1-inch keyed shaft, like this is, so this engine has a 1-inch keyed shaft, it's a 99% chances will bolt up to your engine. So I'm going to guess this particular pump needs at least a 13 horse engine, and it doesn't labor that hard. I think you'd almost get away with a 10 or 11 horse too, because it doesn't work that hard even at full pressure, full RPMs. So we're going to throw on some NECs here. I'm going to try not to shake it too much here. I'm going to throw some NECs on the shaft, so that in the future when they go to remove this, so if the pump ever goes bad again, and you go to remove it, then it actually comes up really easy. So I'm going to slather on some of this NECs here. And I don't think it matters if you use the silver stuff or there's copper stuff too that I've seen. Just put a thin coat, it doesn't need that much. Just put a thin coat of that stuff on there. There you be. Just a nice thin coat. Just a rust inhibitor. That should do it. There's that. So that's all you need to do is make sure your shaft is clean. There's no burrs on your keyway where it was mounted before. Don't go jogging before you make a video. Sneak your throat all scratched. Clean my hands. I don't like this NEC. Then he seizes all over my hands from this bottle. Okay, so now what we're going to do, so remember, we haven't prepped anything on the pump. We've just taken it out of the box. We're going to mount it, and we're going to finish doing on it what we're going to do once it's mounted on the pump, because that way it'll hold itself once it's mounted. So what I'm seeing on the pump here is the keyway is turned down. I'm going to turn the pump, unless we just turn this. Let's do this. Let's turn the pump upside down. There's a plug in it. Don't worry about it. So you got to figure out where your keyway is. I think I'm going to turn. So my keyway on the pump is turned all the way down. If I hadn't slathered it on yet, I would turn the shaft by hand, because the pump itself is turned straight up and down. We'll get her. We'll just put on some more here because I missed some on the bottom. Okay, so there's that. So now we turn the keyway down, and then in here you can see that the keyway is turned down as well. I'm going to put her in here. Let's see if we can get her lined up. Let's see if we can get her lined up. Okay, It's halfway on. There we go. So now it's all the way on, and we're in the proper position. We're almost on. Give me a minute here. Why is it doing that? Just tap her by hand. Tap her by hand. So we're going to reuse our existing bolts because they're quite a bit bigger than what they included with the pump. I'm guessing that if it was a smaller engine or a different brand's engine, will use a smaller bolt. And that's pretty simple to do. And so when you go to do this, you got to figure out the economics of this. Does it make sense to rebuild the pump you have? Does it make sense to rebuild the pump that you have? Is it economical, or do you prefer the name brand pump? Or are you going to give less money or the same amount of money for a brand new pump? That's the question you're going to be faced with. Because even if you rebuild your existing pump, chances are there's parts of it that are corroded, and you know, you gotta do that. And maybe quality is a concern of these no-name pumps. I don't know. Never used them before. I don't know what their longevity is and if they're any good. So let's see here. I'm going to move you guys back a bit. Put the manual and the accessories out of the way here, and I'll move you back. Some of the bolts here. So hang on, move you back. So far it's going extremely well. It's going extremely well. We got one of the bolts in, and then we're trying to do the second one now. And if you take the stress off of it, it goes pretty easy too. There we go. Let's turn her loose. So last time I used a loose Allen head or Allen tool that was out of a set. It was not affixed to a handle like this, and it was much easier. And they end up doing the same thing here. So those bolts are going in nice and easy. They're clean. These look like they're some kind of a zinc oxide. Anodized, I should say. See, those went in super easy. I'm going to grab that loose Allen tools because it will make this job really easy. So I'm going to grab the ones that we had last time. Made the job way easier than these handled ones. I should have done that beforehand. I grabbed these before, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So as you can see, so far all we've done is we have made sure the shaft was clean. There were no burrs. We put on some NECs, and then we stuck the pump on. Slid the pump on the shaft, and then while it's on, mounted to the engine, we'll do the finishing touches. There's not that much to do. So I'm going to snug them up, and then we'll come back and we'll retouch all of them. So from what I've seen with the first one I did, the little load it had running at full RPM with this pump, I'm pretty certain that a 10 horse would easily power this, maybe even a 9, I'm not sure. I mean, it would have a bigger load. This engine hardly has a load. This 13 horse Briggs hardly has a load with this pump, with a 4,000 psi pump, 4 gallons per minute. And then I'll show you the hose. So the hose was all brittle and the ends were leaking, and I got a brand new 50-foot hose for it. I'll show you that too. So if you need a new hose and a wand, I'm going to put the links in the description as well. Okay, so these are all pretty snug. If you wanted to get fancy, you could torque them up, but we're not gonna. You just use common sense and snug them up. So the bottom ones are done. See how it bolted right up? So this is an aftermarket pump, and it bolted up exactly like the original pump was, the original AR pump was. So I wouldn't worry about it fitting. I'm guessing that this engine size, from a 10 horse to who knows what size, they have the same mounting patterns on the side. There's actually, in the center here, you can see there's a smaller pattern drilled for a smaller engine size too. So that's why I'm thinking that there's two sets of mounting holes for two different engine categories. Unless it's for an electric motor, who knows. Okay, so that's all snug up. It's all mounted. And that's all there is to mounting it. And then back here, let me show you. Back here, so this is the thermal relief valve. If this overheated, if the pump overheated, this will pop and relieve pressure from within the pump. And then this, we're going to take this out next, and we'll put in the vented cap. So now that we got it all snugged up, we got it all snugged up. But in this here, and I don't think we need this. I guess if we put it on a showpiece, there's some O-rings to rebuild a pump. It's pretty thoughtful of them. So this goes on your. This is where you adjust the PSI of the pump. I don't know what they're doing here. I don't think this should be locked. Should it? I don't remember. There should be a bolt for this as well. Let's do the vented cap next. And then in here there's a bag of bolts. These are for mounting the pump. We're not going to use those. Oh, in here I see them. In here. In here there's a washer and a tiny bolt for mounting this pressure relief valve. I'm going to get that out as well. That's a tiny Allen head and a washer. There would be. No, that's just a punch out. So that's the bolt. This is the bolt for that where you adjust the pump pressure, the pressure relief valve. This handle goes on the pressure relief valve. So we could do that. Let's try that. Let's do that. Now, what I'm not sure. I guess this is like a lock nut to lock your pressure. I don't know where you want to set that. You're going to lock it against this so that you can adjust it. I'm sure you could set it and leave it in a specific position. And then but we're gonna make it so that you can adjust it. We're gonna leave it so that you can adjust it. I'm sure you could have fixed it. You could have fixed it and lock it with a nut, and then you could leave it at a set pressure. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna leave it adjustable. So this set screw goes up in here. I'm not sure you'll be able to see that. Maybe I'll bring you around. I'll show you. So that's just a plastic handle that you will fix. I'll bring you around and I'll show you. Try not to shake you around too much. Okay, so up in here is where the set screw holds that pressure relief on. Pressure relief. So this is where you can adjust the output pressure of the machine, of the pump. And it's marked. It's got a cap that's marked. That would be, that's pretty tight. You don't want to go ham on it. It can mess it up. There you be. I think it pushed it on fully now. Did it push it on fully? Put you back here. I'm gonna put you on the tripod after I get this done here. Maybe you'll see more from the tripod position. Okay, there you go. That's on fully. And then there's a cap. And I don't think it matters which way you put that on. And it's, I'll just pop it on. So that's what this is your relief valve. This is where you can adjust what PSI your pump is putting out. If you look up on top here, it's got a minus and a plus direction for how to adjust it. So we got this on, and then this we'll do next. And I'll bring you over here once I get this set up. So they have an O-ring on here, so I don't need to reuse the O-ring from the cap. So that cap is in there. So this is in there for shipping because it's full of, the pump is full of oil, and you can't put in the vented. You can't put in the vented. You don't want to put in the vented cap until you have this mounted in place, because you get oil coming out of it if you turn it upside down. So there's the plug. We just took it out. You can see the oil level is in there. You can see the oil level. And then once it's all like you want it, you put in this. This is your vented hydraulic cap. I'm just going to screw this in by hand. Maybe I'll tighten it up with this socket. It's just meant to be hand tight. There we go. I don't think that there's a hex drive on there, no. So that's just meant to be checked by hand. You don't need to tighten it up. So we got that done. We got the relief knob in place. What's next? What is after that? Okay, so we got to do the fitting. I have a fitting sitting over here. So depending how you want to use this, hook it up to water. So depending how you want to use this and hook it up to water, you're going to have to install the correct fitting for it. So what they give you here is, on the water inlet side, they have a screen and a seal in place. But I don't want this pipe thread. This pipe thread is of no use to me. So what I've got is, and I could put a link in the description for that as well. So what I got is, I got a fitting. I got a fitting off of the old Bezo jungle that goes from a swivel garden hose, female garden hose thread, to this pipe thread. I put some Teflon tape on it. So we're going to screw that in. That way we can mount it to a garden hose. But it's up to you. They already have a screen in there for you, and this is normal pipe thread, so you can plumber up however you like. But the most common thing you'll see is a swiveling female garden hose thread. So that's what we're going to use. I mean, I've gotten a big enough wrench for this. We'll see. Let's see. And then make sure you put some pipe thread on it. Or I should say Teflon tape, because it makes it easier to remove in the future. And if it might leak on you if you don't put some Teflon on it, and it makes it easier to remove in the future. There we go. Cinching it up. There we go. So you're dealing with high pressure here, so I would do a good job of tightening that up. There we go. I think that's good enough. There. Maybe I'll line it up with the top part, the part behind it. There we go. There we go. I call that good. Okay, so there you go. There you have a. There we have a swiveling female garden hose end thread now, cinched right up against their screen that they got. So you got the plumbing side done. This is your outlet. This is what's called a. This is called a 3/8 quick coupler for your hose, and then this is now the swiveling female garden hose end. So we got the plumbing side of it done. We got the vent in place, and then we got the pressure relief in place. what's left. Looking at the hardware here, that's pretty much it. These O-rings, we're going to save the O-rings for, they sent O-rings along in case you ever want to rebuild it. So see, as far as the plumbing goes, the only thing we didn't put in place is the soap. The only thing we didn't put in place is the soap dispenser hose, or the soap solution injector. We can do that too. Let's do that. Let's put the soap injector plate in, and the soap injector hose goes right here, right above here. Whoops, my camera just went wiki wonky on me. So we're gonna put that on there. Just slide her on there. Nice soft hose. It should go on fairly easy. You shouldn't need any tools for putting that in place. So that's where the soap injector hose goes. And what I'm going to do with this is we're going to bring her up here, and we're just going to nicely loop it up around up here and wrap it up. Just wrap her up around here, and that way it's out of the way. It's something that you don't use all that often. So we're just going to loop it around up here. Leave it up here like that. Now, what do we have left to do? What do we have left? Let us see. Okay, so your wand, I had a wand that was leaking extremely bad in the handle part. So I'm getting a new wand for this. I'll show you this. So if you need a wand, that's a 36-inch wand like this. This is a nice one. This is a 5,000 PSI rated one, even though it is only a 4,000 PSI machine. It came with the 3/8 quick connect coupler. And this is a very nice gun for the price, and I can put a link in the description for that as well. So we got our gun. I'm going to put it over here. And I put a nice holder here for the gun too. So they have up here, they have this welded on holder for the gun, right? But down here, the end of it is just flopping around and it's swinging away from the machine. So I just used one of the engine bolts, the unused bolts here, and I just put on one of these big hose clamps and left the end loose. So that way that holds the wand on the side here. So if you need a wand like this, it's a very nice wand. It says made in Germany. It's rated higher than this machine, so. But the price was right, and if you need a gun like this, I can put a link in the description. You need the hose. My hose was junk. Let's see here. Okay, so I got this hose too. If you're needing a new hose. So this hose is a 50-foot hose. It's rated for this PSI. I'll set you down here because I can't do this with one hand. This is a very nice hose for the price. Like you could barely repair the hose I had, which was junk, for what the hose costs. So if you need a new hose, your hose happens to be junk, look at the fittings you get for this. So not only does it come with the regular quick connect couplers already installed. So what we set up this unit with is the 3/8, what they call the 3/8 quick connect couplers. This is what typically comes on a pressure washer. So this hose already comes set up like that. But I also see that they included a set of couplers that takes it from the standard pressure washer quick connects to the M22s. So these are basically only two types of connectors that you see on a pressure washer. It's your 3/8 quick connect and then the M22s. So this hose is a fantastic bargain for whatever pressure washer application you're going to use it on. So as you can see, they got the ends on it already, and this is ready to go out of the box. If you're needing a 50-foot hose like this, 4,000 PSI rated, this is a very good one. I can put a link in the description as well. It's nice and soft, it's quality, and it will adapt to whatever connections you have in your pressure wash. Very nice setup. So this will just go ahead and will hang on the unit itself. And we've included some Teflon tape. I guess you can take the ends off of it and put on Teflon tape, which I'll probably end up doing. But I'm not going to include that in the video. You can do that yourself. And then that's it. It is that simple. I'm very glad I didn't rebuild the old pump, because it wouldn't have made sense. And that's it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll be responding to whatever questions you have. And yes, you can do this. It's pretty simple. Take care.